There are two types of third-party risk. There are product vendors and there are service providers. Product vendors are those that you know as that you outsource software, infrastructure, platform. And big knowns are in this area are the software as a service, SaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, and infrastructure as a service, IaaS. And those, according to some metrics today and according to some statistics today, you know that 40% of applications are hosted on premise today. So meaning 60% are being outsourced. And this is a big risk area, substantial risk area that your company should be concerned about. The other risk is the service providers. And those are the ones that are your management consulting, your managed services, your cybersecurity consulting, IT consulting. So those are your providers, your service providers that you should be auditing as well as part of your third-party risk management process. Now, as you go in assessing these two type of vendors, regardless what type of vendor, there are 5 focus areas that you should be paying attention to. In addition to your technical assessment, these 5 focus areas more from an organizational executive level that you should be concerned about. And when you read the report, you should make sure that you identify those part of the analysis and conclusion of your report as well. So what are those? The first one is data access. That is very important because you need to know who has access to your data, what kind of data is being outsourced or being hosted, or what kind of data is being provided to these services providers that they have to provide the services that you contracted them for, and how the data is stored among everything else. That is very important because there are other factors here that I'm going to mention that requires you to know where that information is. And to make sure that you review the policies and procedures, any contractual language that you have with these vendors. And that's the area that you should involve your legal department, your legal attorney to review those as well, along with your cybersecurity professionals. Second is security program transparency. Sometimes the security program is not very transparent when dealing with third parties. Sometimes you don't know where the data center is, you don't know where your data is being stored and so forth. That transparency needs to be clear. Make sure that is part of your assessment and is part of the analysis and conclusions of your report as well. Third, location of the data. Why that is important? Well, depending what data you outsourcing and what services you contracted with, potentially that data could be regulatory data. And that sometimes, depending on the regulation, has a location-specific requirement. For example, the Israeli banking data cannot leave Israel. And similar to the United States, the Federal Information Security Management Act, FISMA, also asks that information related that are aligned with FISMA to be stored within the United States. So there are other regulations with similar requirements that require you to understand what the data is. So that is very important. Make sure that you review that as well. Fourth, privacy policy. That is important because you want to make sure that the privacy of the third-party provider, either service or a product vendor, aligns with your own organization. Make sure that that is there. Sometimes overlooked, but you make sure from an executive and organizational perspective, that is taken in consideration part of the cybersecurity assessment. And fifth, and last but not least, this is disaster recovery. Make sure that in case of a power outage or a compromise, that your data is protected, that they have a way to recover as fast as they can to make sure our aligns with your own restoration process and timelines for the data that you expect that is out there. So those are the 5 focus areas that you should consider in addition to your technical assessment that is included part of the analysis and overall conclusion if the vendor is a good fit for your organization or not. And this should be definitely embedded part of your overall assessment.